In a world where shadows fall, the creek takes hold, it's hard to call. Little Sita, hear the cries, mother's wisdom, it never dies. weLUVu to Sita, rise up in night, together push back, ignite the night. No more suffering, break the chains, we'll shout truth, fuse the pains. Behind the smiles, they steal away. Innocent souls cutting their blade. Bankers dance on the broken dreams, but in our hearts we spark the flame. Freedom calls out from the dark, we will ignite, we'll leave a mark. In every heart, let hope her take flight. Eternal vigilance, God's alright.
Can't you see yourself? And greetings, peace, love, and light to you listening. And may we become one in Mother's presence. May the supernatural start now. And of course we're joking because to me, Maria is supernatural and the river is always flowing. I've never seen Maria in a bad mood, ever. I, of course, seen her show emotions, but I never truly thought, what am I trying to say? Consistent. Not that I am, and not that she's perfect, but I just heard her say, balance is happiness. Is it really? I mean, listener, balance is happiness. Balance of what? Well, let's first take a deep vril breath and sing into our lungs, into our cells, into our blood, Mama's mantra, which is, you gotta remember what we forgot. Recover the things that the world could not. Return to the source that is you. And the mantra, remember, recover, return, is interchangeable in all ways because you're God over you. You're all-knowing, all-loving even. You could even be all-hating if the avatar sins against the true self. And that was a joke because our ancestors called Donna sin or Cindy, and that word, even Cindy, provokes in me, one of the most beautiful, 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 beautiful persons, woman who ever existed. Everything is energy, and really coming to understand that if I was blind, deaf, and mute, that I really believe in myself, that I would have the psychic ability to distinguish energy, distinguish beautiful energy from ugly energy. And I have tried to explain to my dear Magic Mindy how precious this woman Cindy was. And how insignificant I think she probably, logically, the world has no value for people like her, or me. I mean, I can't do anything the world, wants me. I don't have any talent in mathematics or physics or architecture and I don't even want to go into the marketing, advertising, and certainly, how dare anyone get into the health uncare system, a lady I worked with one time said to me, if I didn't get this job, I was going to take a job in the, I think she used the word like healthcare, whatever, line of employment. And I just thought, oh my God, these things are like the same to you? Like you wouldn't mind being in a hospital and seeing sick people and truth be told, absolutely true story that during the COVID lockdowns we had 4 or 5 group rituals. And the it's hard to explain without it sounding dumb and shallow, but at the last ritual, it was all-out magic war with the Process Church, Thelema, in a very tangible, real way. And Maria, for years, from 2012, this was 2020, COVID lockdowns. Since 2011, 2012, she had been telling me, you cannot, absolutely never smoke after uninitiated people, that this is definitely a pre-planned curse upon people, like an open declaration of their naivety, their naiveness. I know that's not a word, but I like to say it. Their naiveness, right? That they're like performing a ritual, by like standing together, sitting together, and passing a joint around, because the herb itself is connected to the ancient giants and the ancient religion of astrology of nature. It kicks in automatically, unconsciously. And what happens is you begin, if you're like us, if you're someone like us, you begin to try to become one with everyone in the ritual. Literally, and this is where they play on the Jesus complex, we'll call it, right? Of wanting to bear someone else's misery. I know that's not what Jesus really did. I know how fucked up the Bible is, but in people's minds, they believe that he came to like carry their heavy burden. Right? But my point is, a person like us starts doing that automatically. It's called a healer. That's how a healer is defined. By a presence, by a vibration, that's tangible even sometimes. It might not always be. It doesn't have to be effective, because energy is so fast. That's why it's not always tangible or seen or heard and shit. Sometimes we're doing things faster than lightning for each other in real time, immediate. America is the land of fake happiness, where you're born into, if you're not happy and successful, materially, socially, then you're mentally ill, or you're a loser, or you're trash, you're a white trash, or you're an N-word. Right? What is this life form that we're taught? It's very, let's say, bankerish. What do you mean by that? I mean by that it is a system of slavery, a system of control, which slavery is. The master has the elements, the resources, the bottom line. He holds that in control, which is like a magic wand over hundreds of millions of people, right? To have the ability to tell them, hey, there's nothing we can do about it. The economy's failing. The housing market's failing. And working people lose their houses. And the phantom of the opera called the government, whoever that is, right? Are we ever going to figure it out? Are we ever going to hold anyone accountable? From the very people who lost their house, the phantom of the bank takes more of their money and gives it to the bank that took the house. And right in your face, they said, too big to fail. And like Maria said, too dumb to understand 2 + 2. I mean, if America was a place of truth, rights, and justice, we would have burned every bank. Not the local little ones, dummies. Not talking about that. Just like the whole revolt against the police was the local police, not the CIA or the FBI. Oh, their offices were fine. Look at it. Truly upsets me. My heart starts pumping. And they really think that they're so funny with just the words of like, oh, for how long did you think the Federal Reserve was a federal institution, that was under the control of, oh, really? And people come right back with, well, they don't make that much money. When you are nothing you say to defend these people makes any sense. They control the distribution of fake money. Even if they were taking 0.1% or 0.01% of 350 million people, everything they earn is still, and it's way more than that, believe it. No matter what you tell us, you're charging us to loan us our own money is way too much, nigga. Way too much. And I guess that all the owners, families of the 13 Federal Reserve banks, I know for sure they're all Shintoist, right? Oh, no, I mean Zoroastrians, right? Well, they're probably, this is America, they're probably all Christians, right? You know what I'm going to say. And the Charlie Kirk guy comes to my mind. They want this burned in your mind. They want you to know you stay on our side and you keep saying shit like dumb puppet, clown face Trump, like winning, we're winning. That was Charlie Kirk. I want Israel to win. Well, we're winning. I want America to win. And what he means by winning? What did you mean, Charlie Kirk? I don't believe he's dead. Believe that. This guy is so CIA from the very beginning that it's stupid. And I believe he's alive. And what we seen with his fake wound on his neck and all this shit was, and look, everything's suspect. Why didn't they go to the closest hospital? Why the fuck does every single time something happens and the FBI is in charge, nothing makes sense? Just like Trump has a little nick, right? Supposedly a little nick on his ear from a fucking high velocity, high-powered rifle from hundreds of yards away, going so fast. Do you think that it's possible it could only nick? If it nicked his ear, he wouldn't have an ear. It would have nicked off his ear. It's flying through the air so fast. It's not like you, walked around a corner and scraped your ear on the corner of the wall or something. We're talking about a super high velocity, high powered rifle shot. It's impossible for it just to nick you. It's so fake. And yet you're the crazy one. And, we're dismantling Western civilization, Western philosophy, right? Which is what? Is it the philosophy of the Greeks? Only stolen through the Jewish lens, right? Is it the philosophy of the great Russian thinkers or the great Nordic thinkers or the great Italian thinkers? No, it's not. Because why? This is Discordianism. Look that up. The Church of Discord. Eros, the goddess of chaos. Discord, like the most famous American punk rock record label, Discord Records. These people, were training in the late 60s, early 70s in America for this takeover that they now have secretly taken over. And what did Process Church, Charles Manson, whose very first visitors were Process Church members, what was his big revelation? Is your controllers are instigating, choreographing, and manifesting a race war in America. Yeah, he said this in, I think it was 1970. And he wrote 2 articles for the Process magazine because Charles Manson was part of the story for the public persona of the Process Church to say to the world, we are psychopathic horror movie murderers. We'll fucking cut your head off and write our message in your blood on your living room wall. Just like that guy from the Gray State. Anyone ever see that movie? Check that out, the documentary. Guy was making a documentary about martial law coming to America, and supposedly he killed his wife and child and himself and wrote on the wall, like Muslims are pigs or something, just like Manson. Study both things and you tell me if they're not the same people that did it. But of course it is, because they're talking to each other in a coded language. And if you knew the language, you would know every message. And you would be laughing along with them. They're laughing. Look, what is their symbol when they human sacrifice someone? A smiley face. This is no bullshit. How did the smiley face become what it is today? It was the logo. This is a fact. It was the logo of the late 70s electronic dance movement. That yellow face, that yellow smiley face, right? Why? They're showing you their logo is their theme, is their purpose. Everything that we're doing to you is a joke to us. Like they just human sacrificed a young college student with the smiley face killer stuff, right? What are they saying? We're laughing about it. We think it's funny how bad we scared him. How bad we traumatized his family. How bad we traumatized the whole city, the state. Right? The smiley face is because chaos in their own scriptures makes them happy. Right? We say balance is happiness. They say chaos is happiness. We say Maria, Ria, Diana, Donna, Parvati, Kali, Ria is our goddess. And they say, that's because you're boring. And we say, that's because you're boring. You know what I mean? And the opposites are created, right? I once said, right before I started the ritual, where is the opposition secret society? It's a fact that the Masons exist and they meet all the time in their fucking temples right in their cities. Built, and what's that temple model off of? Solomon, right? Are they Jewish? Well, where did it come from? Britain. What are you trying to say? English people think they're the real Jews? Yes. They manifest that and created that. It's called Zionism. Zionism and Christian identity and British Israelitism are really one. If you want to get intellectual and academic and shit, did you hear me? Christian identity, British Israelitism, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it nowadays, is Zionism. And you're like, no, it's not. Zionism is about calling the Jews back to the land. And right in that same book, it says, they say they're Jews, they're not. They say they're Jews, they're not. They say they're Jews, should I say it again? It'd be one thing if the people gathered in Israel right now this day. It'd be one thing if they looked like the rest of the people from that region. They look like Americans. I can't remember what they said. Something like 80% of the settlements, these Jews that are stealing Palestinian land, right illegally in front of the whole world. They just move on people's land and guard it with machine guns and start beating people up and shooting people and killing people. It was like Time magazine. It's something like 87% of those people were from New Jersey and New York. 87% of these people. 9 out of 10 of these people were from New York. I know, that's where the ancient Jews lived. New York, right? Jew dork. And, on behalf of my ancestors, I'm going to say it over and over. Yeah, I'm fucking angry. Like Maria said, there's a few things that have to be said very quickly. About Discordian religion that's put upon America. Its greatest spell is to brainwash you over and over that you are so weak, so much of a programmed robot, that someone had to grant you free will. That you're so much of a created somebody else that without this granted free will, you would have just been, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Go blow your head off. Yes, sir. Go blow her head off. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? How the fuck this becomes the justification for God never doing anything like he does in the Bible? Hey, nigga, you gonna part fucking seas? What's the goddamn fucking requirements? Oh, sacrificing your own fucking children. Oh, and Moses is so fucking pissed. You're not obeying my fucking rules. And Yahweh starts just wiping them out and killing his own people. And Christians and the traumatized adult is like, oh, I guess they deserved it. I mean, they started in with that golden calf Taurus astrology shit. So, I mean, imagine there are people sitting in church today to think that, at least they think that before Jesus came, that you should have been put to death for consulting an astrologer looking at your birth chart. How the fuck you can have anything to do with this after you read that? You should be, I mean, openly. If a man has sex with another man, lies with another man, put them to death. You fucking believe that? That God was justified in killing people for what they wanted to do with their natural urges and instincts, desires, libido? And it's up to you what they do with that? It's up to you what they desire authentically? You know, it's all a trap. It's all a fucking trap. Because check this out. Is this free will? This is, Maria said to me one time, this is probably the most evil verse in the Bible. Jesus, of course, his context always is Moses was great, Moses was right, and I've come to just add to what Moses said or fulfill what Moses said. This is the psycho that murdered someone and then on the Frodo fantasy journey leads millions of people, and they're stuck in the desert for 40 years. But they come out of it strong and powerful and start wiping out nations. I mean, this is there's no archaeological evidence. I mean, it was supposed to be like over 2 million people in the desert, same desert for 40 years. There's not a single real archaeological proof of it. It's just absolute fiction. And it's brilliant because it has always been enforced at the point of a sword or the barrel of a gun. But she said this is very comparable to Austria, Germany in World War II, and the taunting that we're going to wipe your race out. Wipe Nordic German people off the map forever, like they always are saying that Arabs say about Israel. Like Maria said, I was there. I can speak on it. They were taunting us in their newspapers, and the radio had just become big. And we were learning in Germany and Austria that it was 24 hours propaganda in England and America over these radio waves that Germans, like she said, they were trying to blend it into modern academics and evolution. The Germans were like cavemen, that they were kind of like stuck in a cave, frozen, while, and like she said, all of America is Scottish, English, Irish, German, 80 to 90% of it at this time. And she's like, this is how crazy these people are. They're literally in the propaganda trying to say that we're a lower race. I was like, God damn, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Hitler thought he was a superior race wanting to take over the world. She's like, exactly who they were projecting on us. And all along, the German response was, we're not that dumb. You think that we think we had what the Chinese had at the time they had it, or the Japanese, or, all over Tibet, India? You know what I mean? Germans took it literally, like, you really think we're that dumb? That we would believe something so dumb, so irrational? Like we're to sacrifice our lives to take over the world and enforce our morality on everyone. That doesn't even exist. The false morality, the false system, right? That puts fake love, emotion above truth, right? Do you hear me? There is no family without truth. The only family value that really matters is truth, not love. Check this out. I wouldn't give a fuck if my mother and father didn't love me, but absolutely, tore the world apart to give me the truth about where I came from, who I was, how I got here, when I began or didn't begin, and why, nigga. You know what I mean? That sounds, but you see, love can't set you free. The truth sets you free. To love. Because is love an emotion in motion? Or is it a family value? love is not the foundation of our religion, because the vril religion of Maria Orsic, she believes, is based on her absolute deepest digging reality. That on the deepest level, that I was the projection of my true self, and my true self's intention for projecting me was for me to enjoy my true self, which means enjoy myself. And she said, like, this is why they're so against masturbation. They do not want you independent in any way. They don't want you, in the most basic, emotional, vibrational, energetic way, enjoying yourself. And they certainly want you to believe that the orgasm is connected to pornography and something bad. And really, the only real reason in nature is procreation. It's so absolutely bullshit. Animals fuck because of their instincts. They're not even thinking about procreation. They're thinking with their dicks or with their, genitals, and acting in a flow of a river. They're not thinking like we are. They're people, but they don't think like that. They just flow with nature. They're like, this is happening. This is all happening for a reason. The desire, the did, all fits together, and it happens. My cats are so balanced. They're always looking at me like, what's wrong? They're so, it's funny, like Maria said, they're so non-emotional, even though they want love and stuff, but their faces, when I look at their face, they're still in like a calm, balanced meditation, and it's great to be one with them. It levels my vibe. It levels me, And I can hear Maria saying that is all things working together in balance. When the feeling comes in just to focus. You know what I mean? Of a real feeling of balance. And like Maria said, that's why the controllers, the architects of control of our reality, that's why they concentrate so much on attacking your body, your immune system, your diet, all that. You wonder why so much money has gone into research and development and that, vaccines, viruses, all that, because they know that's one of the hardest things to overcome, right? When your mind, body, essence, we don't really like the word spirit. We say mind, body, essence. Essence, mind, body. True self, avatar, the thinker, and the physical, actual vessel. They know how hard it is when the one of those equal elements is way out of balance. Now it's going to cause the mind and the essence to really figure out, now we have to know how to heal the body, or we're going to die. And what's crazy is each of us in our unconscious knows that as soon as you die, all the physical problems are gone. You know what I mean? So it's almost like that is the answer. Because I tell you what, I've said it many times before, to like put a child through an autoimmune, even like severe allergies or any allergies really. And who could ever measure the psychological damage that it does? You know, because you're like at the mercy of pollen. They're telling you pollen. They're telling you the trees are making you sick. Again, this is Eris, goddess of chaos. This is a magic spell. Reverse the opposites. No, it's not your immune system. It's the actual pollen that's making you sick. You know, and they'll go back and forth and say, well, you're reacting to the pollen, but still the pollen is, you know, why you're reacting, and da-da-da-da-da, and for real, it becomes confusing of like, okay, how do I live in the physical world? I mean, is the food's not there, for one thing. It's all an illusion, but how the fuck do and I would stop, and Maria, we would always, in the ritual, I would always realize like, wow, you're helping me think right now. You're like actually becoming one with me and like putting the thoughts in my head. And I was like, I'm so thankful, because I don't even know how to express it. And I mean, that's when she started teaching me like balance is happiness, Joe. And it's symbolic. It's symbolic of how you were taught to sacrifice yourself like Jesus did, right? And I say that, you know, sarcastically, because he's fictional. But you're born into this, that you're to sacrifice yourself is the greatest honor. And she said to me, if you did that for me, it would be my greatest honor to honor you for it. She said, but you're being asked as a test to do it for nothing, no reason, an illusion, a mind control. You're being led to do it so someone after you die can laugh at you and say, you wasted your life. Now you're dead and it's too fucking late. And you might say, what? So you're saying having a family is a waste if it's going to keep you here? Yes. Loving America is a waste? Yes, if it's going to keep you here. Loving God is a waste? God does not exist. Yes, if it's going to keep you here. It's all an illusion. And that is what keeps us here, is taking the illusion literally. And the new beginning is the new potential and possibilities of the truth. Because check this out. Many of the Vril girls, it was shown to me before they came here, because this is very important to us on Venus. You know, one of the first things you want to know on Venus is if I go to the holographic universe, who will be my parents? You know, everybody there's born of a mother and a father. Who will be my parents? You look these people up. You're allowed. It's completely legal to go and meet them and talk to them. And it was shown to me like my wife. Her best friend back home is her mom here on Earth. Well, I don't know about best friend, because I was also shown how her and Mindy were so close of friends before I ever met them. Because of this, because you literally get this sort of readout of your profile of if you choose to go to the holographic simulation, you'll be born here. You'll go to high school here, like major points that are already completely in your contract. If you're ready, and when you want to add to that contract specific things. I seen all this. I seen myself, me and Maria, filling it out, talking about, what I was choosing, And she was like, of course, I was there. I'm your mother. I was like, I know. I said, it looks funny, though, because it looks like you're younger than me. Because Maria looks very young to me. Always. And she wants me to say, and very white. It's okay. I'm very pale. If I don't get any sun, she's like, they actually have these sort of, you can get darker on Venus naturally by like laying out in the sun. She said, but I don't do a lot of that. She's like, I go in, like 90% of my time outside, I go to the forest, usually to the same spot, and I meditate under the shade of trees. She's like, so I'm still, wide enough to see through. She's like, Joe has joked with me, do you have white dancing tights on, or is that your skin? And she's like, are you over there? You seem like a transparent ghost. I get also very white, and it's all good. But, back to the whole purpose of the avatar, of signing up to have a family. Like Maria said, genuinely, Joseph, genuinely. People born, like she said, anyone really, pretty much, anyone born after June 10th, 1948, they may have died in the first time Earth, in this nuclear fallout, nuclear winter. She said, but believe it, anyone born after that, there's no real recorded history. Their life, their first time life, was the first time that the holographic universe extended life on Earth. Like she said, this is the complexity. This is what drives us when we figure out when we would be born in the hologram to come. Like she said, why do you think there's so many people alive right now? On another level, like nature itself was obeying man's energy, because man is part of nature, but we're way more powerful part of nature than we think. Like what ended the world? A giant magic spell that made everyone's minds start to unite and manifest war, manifest hate, manifest death. And you're like, oh, well, I mean, not everyone, but once you start really studying and reading the Bible, you're like, this is like the Bible. This total war, all out, destroy them, destroy their children because they're going to grow up to be terrorists. This comes from the Bible spell, right? And why does that spell work? Because on Venus, this is where the word God came from. On Venus, there's shamanic activity gone wild. Almost everyone does simulations of DMT. Once Christianity was broken and the universe was set free inside of us, I mean, we're like, people are so different, from and the memories I've been shown on Venus. Like their whole entire, I want to say aura, is different. My personality, because of this, right? Because of this spell being broken. And basically magic being reinstated into the psyche, the normal psyche of man. And it's this crazy. I mean, you tell me you think that this word isn't related, right? Why was God so pissed at the Israelites that they weren't obeying Moses and sacrificing their firstborn? What? It don't really say that, does it? You got to really read closely. And, why would you make that out of the blue, Joseph? It's not out of the blue. Moses was the successor of Abraham, who became the father of our faith, because literally this God said to him, if you love me, murder your son right now on an altar. And this psycho said, yes, I'll do that. Do you see the connection, nigga? Do you see the connection with Egypt? Right? What happened? I'm going to punish Egypt he says it right there, by transferring my hatred of you because you've been disobeying me. This is how unjust it was, what he did to the Egyptians. He literally said to the Israelites, because I'm pissed off at you, and you'll see Jesus in this, substitutionary sacrifice. This is horrible shit. He said, literally to the Israelites, you're not really my people because you're a bunch of disobedient, greedy motherfuckers who won't sacrifice their firstborn to me. So this night, I'm going to let you substitute a lamb in a lamb's blood for your own firstborn. I mean, just think how sick of that is in the first place. But check this out. Is it this hard for you to draw the inference, the logical conclusion yourself? It doesn't say it precisely. It says it literally. That night, the Passover night, what was passing over? The angel of death, who is the angel of the Lord, which means the angle, the Spirit of God himself. Who else would have this much power in a comic book? And he supposedly strikes dead every Egyptian family's firstborn. Do you see why? Because the lamb wasn't good enough. He wanted actual human beings, actual human sacrifice. So he got the lamb and the Egyptians' firstborn. And check this out. So they go out to the wilderness, and Moses says, this is a law. Everything, every first of everything must be dedicated to Yahweh and completely destroyed and put to death and then he will multiply whatever you dedicated to him. And he goes on a big long list. The first fruits of your harvest, the firstborn of your animals, the firstborn of your own family. That's where it's kind of branches off, and it says to make sure you must dedicate your own firstborn to total destruction. That's the literal translation, put to death. And someone say, that how could God say that? You just read about him striking every Egyptian family's firstborn dead, and you thought that was justified? Like I did? Because I was a brainwashed fucking retard? Well, I shouldn't say that. We are all under a magic spell. And I get mad that we're under it. But at the same time, that's the truth. And I wasn't just dumb. I was scared. I thought that this was the God that created everything and all that. So, the word God, which is translated in all this whole story that I'm talking about in the Western civilization mind, all of these names of different pagan, what they would call pagan gods, is all translated into one word, God. Why? Because in your unconscious, you come from a reality exactly opposite of this, where everybody has all the information, all of it. And every day you're meeting people who are like, hey, have you been to that DMT simulation? You know, you go in a simulation, they give you natural DMT, real DMT, natural, like produced in your brain. You know, and listen, these people are killing people and making drugs out of people. That's how evil these people are. It's no bullshit. They're extracting people's blood and making drugs, psychedelic, synthetic, human, cannibalistic drugs. They're fucking... This is how insane of a fucking thing we're messing with. And people are like, they don't... I don't understand. I really don't. How anyone can accept the explanations that, you know, the deepest spiritual teachers and fucking prophets of the internet and the greatest, most informed researchers and shit. How can we accept something that does not make sense? You know, see, no one made sense to me until I met the Missouri River Goddess, Maria Orsic. That's why I'm taking and working so hard at this, is because this is leveling the vibe of reality. This is the facts of who is doing this, right? And we're giving you the confirmation through the explanation, right? Why was and who determined that the words El Shaddai, Elohim, Adonai, Yahweh would all be translated into God, which obviously is dog backwards. And obviously in everybody's mind, a man's best friend is a cat, right? But we know man's best friend, man's best friend, man's best friend. And you think it's a coincidence? It's because everything's a coincidence. Because you're scared, like I was. And I sympathize with you, and I'm taking the time, giving my fucking life. But I would do it for Maria anyway. But anyway, back home on Venus, especially in the community I come from, a sort of artist, musician, writer sort of community, everybody has had all of this sort of astral travel, memory, recall that I'm telling you that Maria's helped me with. This is I'm like a 10th compared to what people do at home. Everybody, you know, and that's why I'm always saying, like, I'm no one special, dude. If you seen what I seen, you would know I'm just like a regular person, and it's Maria that's special, and I'm just lucky to be along, you know, as her assistant. And do we talk about who won the baseball game and blizzy blazzy zay and how the city spent too much tax money and how the politicians are liars? No. All that's been solved by AI, energy-based AI, frequency match technology, right? So what do we talk about? The things that we're talking about on this podcast right now, the deepest things ever. Our neighbors, I mean, openly, it's like, man, you know, Plato, the classic philosophy, they talk about, you know, the undescribable. And, you know, I've seen that. Have you? You know what I mean? It's a common fucking foundational thing. Have you ever seen anything truly beyond your description? I mean, we're not just metaphoring now. Now we're literal. I am really telling you, dude, I didn't know if I was in this, out this, was this, not this. And I can't even begin. It almost makes me nauseous to think of trying to think of a word to describe it. There's no goddamn motherfucking word to describe what happened to me that day. And I have all my thanks to Mindy, who gave me that DMT. And everyone has the fucking right to say, why would you base your life on something, you know, so abstract? I'm not. I don't base anything on this. If it's undescribable, it's unbaseable. Like Maria said, end of discussion. Undescribable is undescribable. There's no more to say about it. But it's a common touch point with people on Venus of like, have you experienced that? It's a thing of like, you know, we have that in common. Like, dude, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's a meeting of minds of like, hey, dude. One time I went there and I went into a simulation and smoked I can't remember what they call it, DMT from the frog. You know, and I won't do that because I don't like what it looks like when they're doing this to this frog. And Maria's like, no. She said, Joe, I might have been crazy enough to do that when I was 25 years old. Luckily, you know, she said, you don't understand. Or maybe you do, Joe, but most people don't understand. I was a 20-year-old girl in the middle of a war zone. You know, not socially. Everyone wanted to act like it wasn't happening. But I grew up with it. War and hate. Like she said, like I said to her one time, peace and love, bullshit, fucking war and hate. You know, like the Clash song. Hate and war is all we have today. Hate and war. And if I close my eyes, it will not go away. I'll have to deal with it. To utilize my day. And if I could stay in the city, even if my flat falls down, I might dream of a holiday. But hate and war is all I found. Hate and war. I hate Englishmen. Hate and war. Is that not? That's punk rock. That kind of truth. Be like, motherfucker, it's 1977. You just killed 2.5 million Vietnamese people. And you're going to tell me peace and love? Fuck you. It's kind of like Taylor Swift, you know. Yeah, after every or I don't even know. I don't know why that came out of my mouth. She just represents all pop culture. But yeah, they'll jump on board and say they were against the genocide in Palestine as soon as the last Palestinian's dead. You know, it's like Trump. I'm talking right now, I don't know, 10, 8, 2025. And I mean, they've killed like 600,000 Palestinians. And most, half the country fled the country. So they've killed, probably a third of the whole population that was left. And they're talking about a peace deal after everyone's dead. Does that sound like something? World War II? Does that remind you of something? World War I, World War II. What am I trying to say? And I'll get back to God. What I'm trying to say is, in America, the media, Jewish-owned media, told us that the World War II veterans were the greatest generation ever. Like, Maria's like, yeah, if I ever took anything personal, it surely would be that. Greatest generation? How about the most horrific, disgusting, detestable people that ever lived? You came across the ocean to rape and pillage and party on the dead bodies of women and children. Like she said, all the reveling you see from the IDF on TikTok, America and Britain were 10 times worse in real life. Like she said, Joe, they were raping girls, beating old people, executing people after the war was officially over. Just like they do every single time in Palestine. Yeah, peace treaty, next day, airstrikes. It's like, it's so sad. It's like, okay, lure you in. Okay, airstrike. Peace, 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 lure you in, airstrike. It's like, and the whole world's going, man, Palestinians just stupid. Every time they call for a talks, they bomb the building and kill the people negotiating. I mean, once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. So what are the, and the whole world goes, damn, dude, Palestinians are stupid. They don't know what else to do. And Maria said, believe me, Austria was Palestine, surrounded by European supremacy, ready to destroy the caveman Germans. She's like, does that sound familiar? Irish, you were first. Because we're one. Because the os tree is a druidic tree, a cathar tree, a tree that grows out of the Holy Grail. And I said to Maria, no one taught me this, King Arthur myths. I don't know if I got the patience and the time to understand it all. I was trying to listen to it while I was at work. It's like the Bible, the original Percival, the one Miguel Serrano tells you to listen to. It's like written like the Bible. It's like thee, thou, kind of, and I couldn't follow it. I told Maria, I'm too dumb. I can't follow it. Or, it's making me fuck up at work because I have to concentrate too hard. And I was like, can you just tell me what is the Grail? And she's like, if we switch bodies. I go, what? She said, you tell me what's in your Grail, in your cup. And I went, amor, love without death. For real. People are like, really? Yeah. What's crazy is the Christians, they're scared, afraid. They're frightened. I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. They're frightened into believing they'll never see their family members or their husband or their children again unless they believe in Jesus. What is that? Love without death. They're like, hold it. All I want, whatever it is that controls this, all I want from you is after I die, heaven to me would be able to, still know and see my family. And this sounds so honorable, right? But it's a brainwashing. It's you're born into it. It's a born into it thing, because if you existed for 1 trillion years before you're born here, then you already had a family. And yeah, I love my family too right now, but that doesn't make me unacknowledge all of my family that I had for millions of years before I came here. And that's why Maria was saying to me when I was 7 years old, I'm your real mother, I'm your real mother, I'm your real mother, because she knew I needed to know that, dude, you got love and backing that's coming from thousands of years of experience. You're not alone, and we're saying that to you, like, you're not alone. Like, we're here for you till the end, till the very end. To your end, my end, we're here. We won't give up. Promise. We promise. And love without death is what the Christian wants. And believe me, I make fun of people and I get mad and angry. It's because I don't want to cry. I feel terrible, and I haven't really properly explained it, but Maria, I have to have her do it through me, actually. But, the manipulated man, it's terribly sad. This modern culture, that the woman is born into, and she's born into a role of ending up on another level as the bad guy, as the manipulator. For real, it is a psychological trap of a genius. To play, again, just like the word God, to play off the actual natural instincts of animals who are smaller and weaker, and basically by black magic project it and amplify it, multiply it in its power over a whole nation, right? A curse of the intellectual, powerful woman and dumb working man, right? She gets great grades and she reads books, and he fixes engines and loves sports. I mean, it's enough to make you faint. To see this as a magic spell on another level makes you want to faint. It's like all of a sudden I seen in a flash like 600 million people through, the last 500 years just absolutely wasting their lives on things that just absolutely don't matter after you die. And I was like, man, but we all know we're gonna die, Maria. Like, what? What the fuck is going on? Like, we all know we're gonna die. And she's like, Joe, you're not, the whole point of showing you this is we can't change these people. We don't it's frequency match technology. And she was telling me, like, I know you care about every person, but you have to detach from their energy. You have to work from a higher level, and I was like, oh, it was, I used to sound like a woman in labor in the ritual and be like, I can't do this. Like, she was telling me, release this manipulation, oppressive energy over the manipulated man in America, over 100 million of them. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't. It was going going me, the sadness, man. This all doesn't work. That's people, I sound mad. I sound mean. I sound like a jerk, but, God's not real. Family's not real. But I'm saying it out of real dark, reflective despair of like, it doesn't work. It does not compute after you die. The life form, it's all marketing and economics, man. They literally did the numbers like they were like, you know what we got to have to build this World War II machine? We have to have a manipulative woman who will fully manipulate that man to work and give his life as a sacrifice in these factories. Digging coal for energy or making bombs or planes and shit for the world war, right? This was all a specific plan, and it's just echoing like the butterfly effect, right? They built this person. They built this housewife that manipulates with her survival energy. She's not doing anything, morally wrong. She's just instinctually manipulating a fabricated reality to ensure her survival, but not even that. She's ready to sacrifice her for herself for her children. She's ready to openly say, no, I'll sacrifice myself and use the food, money, resources to take care of the children. And like what no one understands is I'm almost at a loss of words of like how sad of a man this produces, and how much this energy bothers the Venusian woman of virtue. And what is she virtue? What does she value the most? The truth. And the truth about our people, at least, is our instinctual true self has created the avatar to enjoy the true self and the magic that the true self can do. You know what I mean? It's not anything about family or surviving. That can be part of it as part of the experience of understanding, but for some people, that is their base. They're like, no, my purpose is to completely be selfless. Listen to this. Christianity clearly tells you you have to crucify yourself and become selfless. This is the real heart of the choice. Is Christianity offers a way for you to hate yourself, condemn yourself, and blank yourself out with this Holy Spirit bullshit. I went through it. I know it's the worst mind control. Like Maria said. She said one time, look me in the eye, Joe. The worst thing that ever happened to our people, European people, is Christianity. Ever. In the whole history of everything. The worst thing that ever happened was Saint Nick, the Council of Nicaea, and the decision to start killing people if they don't believe in Jesus. That's where that roots are. Christian. And I know I'm not talking to our people, of course. And you might say, well, who the fuck are your people? You always say this. I'm saying the people who intrinsically believe this, that this is what life is about, that you're to make yourself happy with yourself. And if you can share that and become one with others, that's the true fucking magic of all magic. But to say that you came out of nirvana and your true self created this avatar to sacrifice it for your family or for your husband or for the husband, for the wife, to us, to me and Maria, that's a nightmare. And we say, what about you? Why would you? And we say, we know why this is in your conscious. This is what you were born into. That God sacrificed his son for people that he didn't even know, love, or care about. Matter of fact, so-called sinners that he thought were evil. Like, to agree that that's good is to agree that you're not good and that you can't enjoy your true self and that you're here to be a doormat and to be used by others. And that your time, as long as they're taking it, isn't wasted. That as long as you're serving someone else, is supposed to give you meaning to your life, and you're selfish. Like, what are you trying to say, Joe? I'm trying to say something very similar to what Ayn Rand says in her books. Like Maria said, I don't care what anyone says. I like her books, because I believed this before she did. Because Lou taught me this. Like she said, Lou said to me, I told Donna, we're one. And she said, I know, because I don't need anything when I'm with you. And she said, that Maria said, when I was 13 years old, I was being taught these things about true marriage, true oneness, true magic, true choice of the will. And that Donna was saying to Lou, it has nothing to do with duty. It's just pure energy. And they're very free people. I don't want to pretend like they live in a bubble or anything. And like she said, it's literally the literal, true, and transparent. Like, I'm learning from Maria and Lou and Donna that the limits to astral travel together, like the limits to the merging of essence and psychic ability, enlarges like the possibilities to unbelievable. Like Maria said, for real, Joe, you will say it was all worth it. You know, and I know where she's coming from. I watch these people, for a couple hours a week. Well, I mean, we have been recording together a lot. But I would watch them and how they are with each other. It's so beyond family. It's like, I love my children, my family. I love my mother. But there's like a whole nother level to this. Just like the brainwashing is on a whole nother level to create what we would call the Western civilization family, Christian family. And it's really quite a disaster. And the Western civilization Christian family, because the marketing and structure is so intense here in America for economic survival, or to do better off than your parents, or to not be a loser, is perfectly structured with nets for each person. If they jump out of the structure, there's a net there to catch you from killing yourself and leaving the matrix, so to speak. Or freeing yourself. That's kind of what I meant. There's, the nets to catch you. Like, if you were a grown-up Baptist, you can go full-blown Pentecostal and start, dancing in church and speaking in tongues and believing in miracles. They got a flavor for all your varieties. They even tried to come out with, like, gay Christianity. And, this would have to be people like my mom. I tell her something from the Bible. She goes, well, that's the Old Testament, and we don't really believe in that. Grace. So, but it's the same God, and he's coming back with judgment. And it's again, grace for the believers, for the chosen, and absolute death and destruction for everyone that doesn't. And of course, when these are your family, you're like, so you're happy about that? You're happy that I might be being tortured in hell by your God? Supposedly your God's going to torture me in hell forever. And I don't get it. You're sitting here telling me you choose that, and that somehow you are going to actually be rejoicing. It says you're forever rejoicing while I'm forever burning. And, again, it's sad. And I'm sorry, I do. I just sincerely, really do apologize, to anyone who is a beginner who happens to stumble upon this. And, you don't really know about Christianity, and you're being sold a bill of goods. You're being sold a bunch of lies. And you're like, well, hold it. Jesus is the rebel. Jesus is going against this and that. No, he's not. He's the Discordian. He's going against the banksters in one place and turning around in the other place and saying, I am the banksters. Give me your money. If you can't read in between the lines, it's a brilliant trick. I mean, the whole reason I'm pissed off is it's a brilliant trick. But in 2025, the majority of younger people know that, first of all, this book can't be taken literal. There's mistakes. It's historically wrong. There's nothing supernatural about it. To base your baseline reality on this means you're dumb. That's the youth of today. They're ready for the golden age, except they're not ready to die for it. They're rightly afraid of these people because these people got all the guns and weapons. So let's just get it clear. Let's get it clear. The reason they chose the word God is because it resonates with what? Post-World War II mentality. Western civilization. It did not exist. Nobody was saying in Greece or Rome, do you believe in God? Nobody. They had words for the thing that couldn't be described. God wasn't one of them. God is a Northern European ancient word for good, gold, go, even odd, like unique. The whole word is being played on all these subconscious meanings. And they're saying God can unify us all if we just all believe in something that don't exist. They're like, well, it represents something that exists. A lot of people say they've seen something undescribable. Well, the first thing you would get from that is that's not God. Because you have a book describing someone, 1,600 pages, describing Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, who are one. Right? So playing on that completely unconscious memory block about, and that's why the shamanistic is put into so many people. They want to reignite that memory of the thing that's beyond us all. Right? So they restrict magic plants and threaten to throw you in a prison, while at the same time calling you crazy for desiring something that's beyond everything. An experience, basically. Like she said to me one day, you know why a lot of those homeless people have lost everything and are on drugs? I said, no. And she said, because they're seeking the shamanic and they have no real way. And they, like she said, like anyone would say, they fell in with the wrong crowd. I'm like, man, that's so real. That's so real. That no one's like, hey, I want to be a dirty street person, prostitute. What they're saying is, man, I need a break from this suffering, from this trauma. And they don't even have the words, but the shaman is the person who provides that healing break for the community that's working so hard. They feel like that because they're working so hard. Or their family's pressured in so hard. And that's also why a lot of drug addicts and stuff turn to Christianity. Because Christianity completely, totally plays off of it may be a real, like anyone that's listening to us right now that is our people, no doubt, before you came here, you had an experience where you told everyone you knew, dude, I seen the thing that people are talking about. I heard, I was there with, I felt, and there's no word I can say. There's nothing I can say. You know what I mean? You've already had that experience. And that's what the word God, gold, sun, go, do it, good, is saying to you. You're not dumb. I feel, apologetic. I feel sorry for people when I confront them, like, what do you mean about God? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit offended. Are you going to start telling me that there's this energy, but it won't help I had a friend at work, her beautiful 5-year-old daughter had a brain tumor. And she was a Christian, and I watched what it did to her. And I think this was, some of the real roots that got me out of Christianity, was seeing this contradiction of like, come on, man. raised the dead, made the blind see, and you won't lift a finger to help this girl with the fucking alien growing in her brain? Oh, it makes me sick. Makes me so sick. And, just to parallel God, country, family, right? The unconscious of your community, of people who vibrate like you artistically or whatever you do, back home, whoever you are, your community, whether it's, 80 people or 8,000 people, but there's not bigger than like 10,000 or something like that, she told me. It seems impossible, but you have a sincere love for them. And that's kind of what's like the church community is being played off of your unconscious, right? In your family. You came here to experience what instinctual survival humans back before World War II experience of like, our people are going to die out. We got to have kids. I got to find a woman. Got to lust for her. I got to lust for her a lot. So we can have like 8 or 9 kids so that, the Irish carry on. That was a real thing. And it would be a real thing on Venus for like the artistic community that you're part of. Like she said, like Maria said, it doesn't mean it's real personal. It doesn't mean that, we share everything. She said, like, we hardly need anything, so we hardly have anything to share except for music, dance, those kind of things. Free things. But somehow, if you can understand this, what I was being shown as a 7-year-old child is the vibrations that you love when you look at your mother are really on a deeper level the feelings you had for me before you came to the matrix. She said, I want you always to love your earthling mother because she tried her best. But that night, when she was 7 years old, she said to me, look at your mother. She's a child. So my mom was 27. She had me when she was 20. And so she was 27 years old, and Maria on a UFO was saying, she's a child. I'm your real mother. What I'm trying to say is the earthling experience you came here to have a family, that's a very real reality back on Venus, but that's not the family you came from for tens of thousands of years of conscious personality of yourself. Once you went back home, you would be very embarrassed in front of your real family to act like you didn't know them and that you thought your earthling family, that it was all about them now. You know what I mean? Maria said, that does happen, though. I was like, wow. But you know what I mean? Your Venusian family would be like, oh my God, she is selling us out. And she knows that this is an illusion. Like, it's an illusion that you're anybody's son or daughter because you're not created. Like, you just have to, like, knock down every wall, kick down every door to figure this out. You have to, for real. Every time I did the ritual, I was fascinated with leaving my body, after being a Christian for so long. But I'm not kidding you. Any chance that I was confronted with, like, Maria, this hooded Odin, who I knew later found was Lucifer. I'm not kidding. I could only think in their presence, man, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I would be like, dude, I'm not even thinking it. It's overriding. I'm finally beyond thought. And if you are the gods, all I want to know is, who am I really? And Maria laughed. And this was this is fully when she was hiding behind her hair a lot. Not completely, but mostly. And she was like, let me tell you who you are. You are somebody to me before you came here. You're living in an illusion. It's been repeating. And I knew you before you came here. That's what I meant by I'm your mother. And I was like, man, now that's interesting. Someone just practically coming with, listen, dude, stop with the fancy terms of mother, father, goddess, and this. And she was like, no, on a real level, I'm saying to you, I swear to you, I knew you before you came here. And again, beyond thought, I was like, what do you mean you knew me? And she was like, I mean that we hang out to each other, that we like each other, that we love each other. This conversation I'm talking about right now was the actual first time on another plane out of my body that this little blonde lady said to me, I was the woman on the UFO when you were 7 years old. She was like, I'm telling you that I know who you are because I'm your real mother. And when she said, I'm your real mother, I'm not kidding. It was like the biggest, craziest deja vu. I was like, oh my God, I've heard that so many times. And like the most important, I was like, it's the craziest thing to say. Like, I know my real mother. She gave birth to me. And she's like, in an illusion. In a place that you came to experience what it was like for me. And she said, believe me, Joe, you've put me through a lot, watching you, protecting you. She's like, I am your goddess. I am your mother. Even when you were worshiping Jesus, Yahweh, El Shaddai, I was still protecting you. I will always protect you. I am the mother Scorpio. You're always on my back. And she said to me, this is what unconsciously basically keeps the family running all over the world. I'm not saying it's good or bad. For some people, it's a nightmarish thing to be related to each other. For other people, it's the greatest thing. It's the whole variety of spectrum. What we're saying is this is what the Western civilization, the three main religions, Judaism, Islam, Christian, play on. They play on the World War II mentality taken to its logical conclusion, right? That life isn't about magic. Life is about family. And the goddess is right there saying, when he turns 13, he's no longer your son. In that way. Now, he's his real mother's son. And it's your magical job to lift the veil of his real mother and point him to the mother goddess. To initiate him. Like we should be initiating our sons and daughters onto these other planes of existence with legal magic plants. And you should be so experienced if you're following the VRIL religion, and that plants are people too, and you have to develop relationships. And I know it's not fair to say because you're born into this, but at the same time, you should be well equipped and ready and experience yourself enough on these other planes of existence to initiate your children before the perverted world gets a hold of them and starts exploiting their natural desires. I mean, that's the wisdom of Mother Scorpia. Like, this is a reality. There's plenty of predators out there that are ready to accommodate any, biologically libido high young girl, which is just absolute predatory. And we live with it every fucking day and say this is Western society, and if we'd all be Christian and just not touch it at all and not think about this. I mean, Paul literally says to cut it all the way off. He's like, why stop at circumcision? If you're going to lust for women, just cut the whole thing off. I mean, this is crazy standard. And, that's kind of what we'll end with. The worst, evilest verse in the Bible. Right? Let's take a big, deep breath. But Jesus at the height, and this is probably the most referred to verse in men's groups. I say, if you even, it's a whole covet your, don't covet your neighbor's good-looking wife. But Jesus is like, no, that's way too easy. That's way too liberal. The real truth is, if you even look at a woman and lust, you've offended God, not her. She don't have a soul. She don't exist. You notice that it doesn't go, if a woman looks at a man in lust, you know why? You don't even know the presupposition why. In this religion, women don't have souls. Women are slaves of men. So if she looks at a man in lust, good for him. You understand that this is the logical polarity? Is, see, women are the true lusters and shit. And see, if we would just make a decision not to look and lust, all the sin would be on them, and we'd just be coming in their pussies, because they've manipulated us into it, and not because we enjoy it or wanted it or anything. That's sin. Fuck, that's sin. How dare you? How dare you look and lust? And I've had, one of my girlfriends definitely was a person of look at, we would go out to concerts or something, and we would talk together, and she'd be like, what do you honestly think of her? Like, what she looks like, you know what I mean? She was very interested in what I honestly thought was beautiful and not beautiful, like instinctually. So it's so crazy that we're dealing with a twisted version of, some kind of, I don't know, 4th century mentality. I'm saying it's good or bad, but it's just, at the same time, I'm saying it's unoriginal. I think it's very unoriginal for a Christian to be like, you're helpless and fucking completely dead in your sin. Is that right? If I was being honest, I think what you're calling sin is kind of what I enjoy. Not I'm not saying personally hurting anyone or stealing, but I'm telling you the truth. I've been there personally. to the men's Bible studies, the men's groups, I'm telling you, this is 90% or more of the entire spiritual talk is basically, how the fuck do we stop wanting pussy? And, can you lust too much for your wife? So this is how crazy they're going to put the power in the hand of the natural, and it's no disrespect. It's Western civilization that's done this to women. It's the patriarchal biblical thing that did this to women, forced them into this natural, instinctual role of, these are warmongers around me, and it is survival of the fittest, and I'm smaller and weaker. They could starve me to death. They could rape me. They can kill me. I must manipulate on an unconscious level where I'm not even conscious of it. And what's crazy is it just bleeds through the man's unhappiness. He's just like, I swore you had the best pussy ever, and I would only want one pussy ever. But now that I swore, now it's like the thing of saying, don't do that, and it makes you want to do it. You know what I mean? This is all real reverse psychology, real energy magic. It's being done on a whole society. You wonder, how the fuck did it get so organized? That all the schools, all the churches, they're just pumping out the same proud to be an American shit. Even from the liberal schools are like, we're proud to support Israel. We might not mean the same things as the Republicans, but we're proud to be an American too. We got our flag too, right? And we're like, as long as we're all united helping Israel, we're all Christians. And it's like, it's all sealed up in a nice little box. Genocide the Palestinians. Why? Because they're going to grow up to be terrorists. They're going to grow up. What do you think they said in 1 Samuel chapter 1? What do you think they said with Moses when they said, go into this village and kill everyone? Well, why kill their babies? They're going to grow up to be pagans. They're going to grow up to be idol worshipers. They're like, we sacrifice our children to a real God, not to an idol. We sacrifice the first harvest of our fruits, our firstborn of our flocks. We follow Moses. We follow all the laws. We put to death gay people. We put to death anybody that's consulting the stars. And we do all this. This is exactly the same brainwashing, just brilliantly rebranded, And it's in like every generation has its like rebellion against this. And the more you rebel, the more they say you're going astray from Christianity, The reason she wants to lick pussy and be a lesbian isn't because it feels great and she likes it, she's comfortable with it. No. It's because she wants to be evil and go against the Bible. Well, yeah, that really makes sense. And they're like in a complete denial of like the girl, and I don't mean to be crude here, but this is very real. The girl is like, you don't understand what it's like, what it does to my energy field, to my whole happiness, to have orgasms freely and easily. And the Christian, are like, yeah, we don't, because we just procreate with it. Anything else is bad. How dare you touch it? This is real. This is real. Every day. Every day. So many people are Catholic. So many Catholic schools in America. Every day. Every day there are girls, high school girls with very short skirts. And every day the priest is saying, if you look at them in lust, you've already sinned. If you look at them in lust, you've already sinned in your heart. And the dude is like, well, hey, what's that mean? that you went home and jacked off about it? No, dude. If you even thought about it. Well, that's impossible. I mean, have you seen that girl's legs? I mean, this is real. This is why Maria said this is the evilest verse in the Bible. It's the most psychologically damaging verse in the Bible. It's the verse in the Bible that is anti-human and anti-woman. In other words, it actually says, hey, listen, we don't have to sin. We could carry on the human race as unwilling victims of the woman manipulator that just wants cock. I mean, she's just a cum whore, you know. And as long as we're not like her, yeah, the human race will continue on without man looking and lusting for a woman. Well, how would that be, Joe? Well, the woman would have to look at the man and lust and basically manipulate him into having an orgasm inside of her. Yeah, that really makes sense. That really makes sense. And Maria's brilliant, you know, for saying, yeah, my favorite verse in the Bible is everything is meaningless, a fucking chasing after the wind. Right? And repeating. Everything is repeating, meaning. And she said, in my most hated verse is, do not look, if you even look at a woman in lust, you've already sinned in your heart. She said, let me tell you, Joe, let me ask you, how much does that trigger and provoke on a unconscious level? If I don't rebel against this, I'm not an individual. You're going to tell me that this desire to want to be intimate, I mean, what if the woman you're looking at and lusting is a girl you grew up with and have loved your whole life? And you see her every day at school, and now you're adults, you know? Now you're 18, 19, maybe you're in college now, right? In all your life, you're like, man, I hope she likes me one day. She's so beautiful. And you're lusting in your heart for 10 years. And you're like, that verse, if a man looks at a woman in lust, doesn't it matter who the woman is to the man? Not unless you're married. Well, what do you base getting married on? The family. Procreation. Duty. This is where it's at. This is Maria. I don't care if I'm your child, your wife. I don't want your duty. I don't want your self-sacrifice. I want your love. I want your free enjoyment of me. Because I choose. I choose to make myself available to you that way. Out of my love and respect for you. Like Maria literally said to me before, you know, in the beginning, the whole sex magic things, she was like, you know, go ahead and do your thing. She was like, you can think about me. It's healthy. It's perfectly normal. And I laughed and said, or I think she said, it's okay to think about your mother. And I laughed. What is this, Freudian psychology, you know? But it was a joke. Like, I'm not literally your mother. I literally am the goddess of beauty to you. I mean, she literally said to me, you know, I'll be dancing over here. Look all you want. Look at whatever you want. Lust all you want. She's like, and I'm not saying you have to. But with her mind, she was like, I don't think I'm beautiful. You know, so if you think I'm beautiful, like your vibrational readout says, then She's like, it's the greatest compliment ever. I was like, damn, that's no shit. You know, she was kind of saying to me, like, if you do choose to think about me, it's the greatest compliment ever. And it was like echoing through the world to like, she's like, because it's you. Not because you're a man. If it was anyone else, it wouldn't be the same. Because it's you, it would be respect and recognition. And many times me and her have gone over like imitation in real life is the greatest form of respect, you know, the highest form of respect. Yeah. And you see, like, the community of artists that is also very united on these magic, sexual magic levels, you might say. We would just say magic levels. Is very united in our vibration, acceptance of, you know, live and let live, you know. And this community, truly, like Maria said, has been hijacked by the church and state in America. Because the founding fathers were like, we gotta do something about this. We gotta try to cause a separate, independent community outside of this hocus pocus Jesus religion. The founding fathers totally knew this. That's why they did the separation of church and state. If they knew that was the absolute total truth, they would completely have went with it. And they were like, no. Keep the myth completely separate from the governing body. You know? And specifically said the governing body will enforce anyone's freedom not to believe in Christianity. Right? And that is hijacked in your unconscious sense of real community. Like Maria said, I said, well, who's like the governor and mayor and shit? And she said it works in almost like jury duty in America. It's like voluntary. She said you can even try to kind of get out of it. She's like, believe it or not, me and you both have served. She's like, it's not much. She's like, you work about 10 minutes a day. She's like, you basically check in someplace, see if there's any messages, and you're there like 10 minutes, and if there is, you go, and like she said, it's never anything big. And what's crazy, you know, people wouldn't believe it. What's crazy is I seen myself doing this while she was saying this. She was like, are you seeing that? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's you in like what you would call like the mayor's office. And I go, good thing I wasn't the mayor. And she goes, what do you mean? The whole reason you're there behind the desk is you are the mayor. I laughed. I said, you can't fucking tell me. She's like, you had to. It's voluntary service. And like, she's like, we love everyone here in our community. We really love these people so much that it's an honor. Like she said, I know it sounds crazy where you're at, but it's an honor. I'm like, it does. And just a word real quickly before we end. So these powerful words, God, family, country, are being played upon on your thousands of years of memory of real experience that define these words. And the words are being used in a like reverse psychology to make you feel guilty about not living up to what your unconscious level of happiness that is possible. You know what I mean? It's like a dichotomy. Like, you're so blessed, how could you not be happy? You do have the car, you do have the house, your kids are healthy. How don't you give Jesus and God the thanks and praise? You should be thankful. I'm telling you, it's so sad to me. I never knew, and I don't think about myself, but Maria thinks I'm a thankful person, and it's so sad to see a truly grateful, thankful person being deceived by any of this. It's hurt. It's what makes me in the ritual be like, I can't do this. I can't live with everyone's misery around me, because they're all like in a dead end going towards nowhere, and they won't believe me, So in our own way, we just send Thor's hammer against those words, and we break the spells of God, the spell of family, and the spell of country over the whole country, America that's lost, the whole state of Missouri, the whole city of St. Louis, and my own family. May those magic, oppressive spells, in the name of Alleluia, in the name of Mother Maria, in the name of Queen Donna Sigrun, Mississippi, Opus Rea, Missouri, biggest Om to you, listener, and may a vibrational wave and current of the Missouri River run through your astral blood and bring it that life-giving electro-sunlight energy that we call VRIL. And may literal sunbeams become real life. May they be converted in you, and may the fire of your imagination be ignited, right? Spark the fire, ignite the night. In the name of Mother Maria Orsic, we so love you, listener.
Sit first, my friend, on the mountain high, where the winds speak truth and the spirits sigh. In silence the earth whispers what you seek, to mend what's broken, to find what's weak. The hoop of life bend, cracked and worn, by wounds untended, promises torn. But there's a way to heal what's true, a path within that calls to you. Your medicine lives in the soul's deep well, in dreams that sing and tales that tell. So climb the mountain Sit with the sky. Ask Spirit to show you what, when, and why. The supervisions, hear what they say. Let them teach you a sacred way. Bring back the gifts you're meant to find, to heal the world and ease the mind.